goes in. She's one of four from the Miller stable, racing now in the Raconteur. Rockanori amongst the first to get going. K-May, Pat's Got Sass, Stay Safe, jumped very well. So did Devoted. Right behind those, Search and Rocks got out with those in a very compacted field early. Black Fantasy pushing up. Right behind those when they get going, Outspoken Ladders. Rockanori is the first to concede. Dropped out of the speed battle early. Back there in the field, Hardly Ever and Liwa as well. And also there is Above the Peg. They go past the 950, leaving the back, and it's in front, Pat's Got Sass, who leads the way. From on the outside, Stay Safe. A length away behind those is Devoted, who's gone up prominent to race outside of the favourite, Search and Rocks. She's fourth on the inside, following Pat's Got Sass. A length and a half away, Black Fantasy. It covers up K-May, then Rockanori back there in the field on the outside of Outspoken Lad. Above the Peg, Liwa, and the other of the Miller prepared runners back next to last. Over on the inside, Hardly Ever. Into the home straight now in the Raconteur. Pat's Got Sass leads the way. Devoted goes up though very quickly, and Devoted shoots to the lead now. Search and Rocks gets into the clear, but Devoted's off and gone. Rockanori starting its run, and so's Above the Peg. It's Devoted down to the 150, the leader. Search and Rocks, Rockanori, Black Fantasy coming as well. Devoted though holding them, and Devoted wins it. Devoted goes home to score in the Raconteur. One from Rockanori, Black Fantasy, third from Search and Rocks, then Above the Peg, Hardly Ever, both making considerable ground. They were followed by Outspoken Lad, who was next home from Stay Safe. Pat's Got Sass followed further back in the field on pulling up behind those, Liwa, and it was amongst the last of them in deep out. Back with it as well as K-May. Devoted wins it, ridden by Clint Johnston Porter, giving him a treble here this afternoon. The extravagant 3-year-old Devoted. Well, he wanted to be right there with them, Johnston Porter. And Devoted parked right over the pace with Search and Rocks tucked up on his inside, exactly where he needed the filly to be, because he left her stranded when he took off and hit the front going past Pat's Got Sass. And the others had to concede too big a head start. Rockanori and Black Fantasy running on. Search and Rocks just fading slightly late to fill fourth. Devoted goes back to back, and now heads towards the Belmont Guineas in 2 weeks with a great preparation. Wonderful build-up by Michael Grantham, and defeats Rockanori, Chris Parnham. The showdown for these horses will be salivating in a couple of weeks' time. Black Fantasy returning with a very good fresh first up run over 1400 to fill third place in front of Search and Rocks, Above the Peg and Hardly Ever. 5-1-8-4 they are, 5-1-8-4, Devoted by Extravagant out of Morning Mist for Peters Investments, trained by Michael Grantham. Clint Johnston Porter scored by 3/4, half a length second and third in 1:23.73, 34.85 the last 600. Rockanori second by Awesome Rock from Nishikawa, trained by Grant Williams, written by Chris Parnham. And Black Fantasy by Black Friars from Dream Along first up, Dan and Ben Pearce with Lucy Warwick in the saddle. Yeah, fabulous addition here. Devoted, the baldy-faced 3-year-old, took off, skipped clear, established the break, and it was big enough to hold them in the run to the line at the end of 1400. How they measure up next over a mile, it's certainly going to be a magnificent draw card. The last event, the Crown Towers handicap at 448, and it is clear of any alterations as we join Britt Taylor down in the winners' enclosure. This is Devoted's victory today, but boy, doesn't it set it up for something pretty special in 2 weeks.
It's pretty exciting here at Belmont with these 3-year-olds engaged at the moment. It's been much talked about, the quality, the depth within these 3-year-olds at the moment. And Bob Peters, you've seen a number of Raconteurs be run. How do you see this field measure up today? It was certainly plenty of quality.
It certainly was. There was, drifting in the betting all the way through, and I thought the way things were going, we had no chance. We were a favourite at the start, and then we were out the back.
We were speaking pre-race about how much of a tactical affair it would be. How did you view the race? Were you happy during the run?
Yes, we left it entirely to Clint. I said to him, whatever happens with this race is all going to happen at the start. He'll either, get a good start and be up there, or if he doesn't, he'll be at the back, and we'll see what happens.
In the straight, he put up a margin on them. You knew you had a quality horse like Rockanori out the back who was going to be running him down. Were you confident with the kick that he gave that he had put up enough of a margin to hold on?
No, not really, because it's a long straight and I don't like to see them hitting the front that soon, but he obviously had the stamina to be able to do it.
How do you think he'll measure up in 2 weeks' time in the Guineas?
Oh, it's just another race, isn't it? It'll be all on again.
Suited again up in trip?
I think so, yes. Yeah.
And also we see that Peter's Investments have their sale on yet again. You're going down the route of the online tender process. Tell us a little bit more.
It's just something that I've tried in other business and it worked for me there, and it gets the horses moved along without going to too much trouble preparing them or anything, so it makes it a bit easier for us.
Hopefully they all sell well. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
There is Bob Peters after the win of Devoted, and this combination with Michael Grantham, relatively new and proving fruitful at the moment. Clint Johnson-Porter was in the saddle. He's working his way through what is a very busy mounting yard, Michael, and working his way to the scales, but he elected to be that bit more positive today, and it was Devoted who was putting a margin on them in the straight.
Yeah, absolutely. Clint sums it up really well. He had an awkward draw to overcome, but to his credit, was able to get that right run in transit. And Clint, talk us through the early stages of the race. The horse seemed to jump really well. Was it always your plan to be up there like you were?
Yeah, me and Mickey had a bit of a game plan this morning, just to try and flow forwards. Kind of didn't pan out exactly how I thought it was, but ended up in a good spot. My saddle down the back straight just tipped over the front of her, and I was a bit worried at that stage, but...
you nearly lost your saddle.
Yeah, I did, but that's all right. You know.
That's not a bad bit of horsemanship then. What about hitting the front? Looked might be vulnerable at the top of the straight when you did hit the front, but to his credit, he'd really dug deep and he showed a lot of stamina.
Yeah, I think he's a very nice horse, and yeah, like you said, I probably hit the front too early, but look, he dug deep and held off good.
Think you lead up the mile in a couple of weeks in the Guineas?
Oh, I don't know about leading, but he'll be one to be watching out for.
Good luck.
Thank you.
There is Clint Johnson-Porter combined with Michael Grantham and Peter's Investments to take out the Raconteur Stakes of 2022.